Hey guys, better late than never, but this is your SpaceX daily update. And I wanted to share some clips from a live stream that I did earlier with Jonathan McDowell. He answered a lot of questions that you guys had. And we'll get started by talking about the Falcon Heavy launch that will be launching a military space plane that has been pushed back multiple times now. And it looks like we're not close to a launch because the Falcon Heavy rocket was rolled back to the hangar and we still don't have a new launch date. But I wanted to ask Jonathan more questions about the X-37B. This will be the 7th mission in total, and it'll be the first time that it's launching atop a Falcon Heavy rocket. We have some reasons for why we think that is, so here's a clip. And speaking of weather and delays, I have to bring up, and let me add this video as well here. So this is some B-roll from the X-37B, this Falcon Heavy launch that has been delayed over and over again. Some people are calling it Scrub-sember. So what exactly is going on?
I mean, repeated scrubs are not unusual, right? Particularly for large, complex rockets like the Falcon Heavy. And so, the more bits you have, right? So Falcon Heavy is basically 3 Falcon 9s, right? And so there's three rockets that have things go wrong on. And plus the payload's complex, and the payload can have things go wrong on it in ground test. So yeah, I mean, it's nothing to get exercised about. I don't think that delays. As we always say, right? Better scrub than rud.
Yeah, right.
And, totally. and so it's better to wait. So what you're showing is the previous OTV flights, the X-37 flights, which were done on some of them on Atlas and some of them on Falcon 9.
Right.
And this flight's going on a Falcon Heavy
for the first time.
Powerful rocket for the first time. And what we believe, based on various clues, is that it's going to get boosted to a very high orbit instead of the low orbit that it's been in the past. So in the past, they've flown OTB in this 400-ish kilometer orbit, kind of comparable in height to the space station. And now we think it's going to go into a big elliptical orbit, maybe as high as the geostationary altitude. And there's a couple of different things that it could have in its mission profile. It might be doing an inspection mission to check out some satellite in like Molniya orbit that it wants to, probably a US satellite, right? Just as a demonstration to show that you can, go up and sniff around a high orbit satellite and see what it's up to. It might be using the high velocity at perigee. If you're in a very elliptical orbit, when you come down to the low point, the perigee of the orbit, you're going super fast. And one thing they've talked about in the past is using X-37 and its wings to do a dip into the atmosphere and change the orbit inclination for free, as it were, with just sort of sailing in the atmosphere, aerobraking and coming out. And so it wouldn't surprise me if they tried something like that, just as a technology demonstration to kind of go, oh, look, this has never been done before. We can actually use this vehicle to change into rather different orbits, a way that normal satellites can't. And it may also just be a demonstration of a measurement of how does X-37 do in the intense radiation belts of those high altitudes, right? What this is up in the Van Allen belts, you get a much higher radiation dosage.
Another update that I wanted to bring you is about the debut of the Vulcan rocket, which has been pushed back again, no surprise, but it's looking like the next window will be January 8th. And we had some discussion about the ULA Vulcan rocket, their decision to go with the Blue Origin B4 engines, and why Jonathan thinks that even though delays have occurred multiple times with Vulcan at this point, we still think that the first launch could be successful. And I've been covering some daily updates about the continual delays of the Vulcan rocket launch and, making its debut. And it looks like Tori Bruno posted on X that, yes, in fact, they are going to try for January 8th. for Vulcan rocket. So maybe talk about, are these delays surprising? Do you think it'll actually go?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not. Come on, delays in a rocket launch. You shock me, right? Especially in the first launch of a new kind of rocket. And particularly, the long tradition, right, of your your rocket getting a launch date in late December, right, almost always means we're trying to pretend it's still going to be this year, but we know it's not going to be. And so no, color me not shocked at all. But they've had some good engine tests. They've got the rocket. It's there. It's not like PowerPoint. So it's going to go. And I think it's going to go in January, most likely. And I will say they ULA have a really good record on reliability and safety. They move more slowly than SpaceX generally, but they have had, the last time they flew an entirely new rocket was the Atlas V in 2000 or so, something like that. And that flew perfectly the first time. The Delta IV, also comparable age, was their other main rocket up till now. Again, flew perfectly the first time. You never know, right? Space is hard, la la la. But the ULA team have a good track record. So hopefully, the big uncertainty, right, is the BE4 engine, the Blue Origin built engine. And that's the point of the Vulcan, is to move away. It's like, okay, let's take Atlas, but let's rip out the Russian built engine because we don't like that anymore, and move to a Blue Origin engine. And so this is really, Blue Origin have flown New Shepard, suborbital, but this is the first orbital launch that Blue Origin have had a big part in. And so
Right.
that's what we're going to be watching, is how well do those engines do.
So you think that for the debut launch should be successful?
I'm modestly optimistic.
Yeah, based on their history.
Based on ULA's history, but we'll see, but with the caveat of the engines.
Right. Well, and I remember some people criticizing that decision in the past of why did they go with Blue Origin? Is that something that surprised you as well?
Yes and no. And so the main alternative was this company, Aerojet, which goes back to the very early day. It goes back to von Karman, of Karman line fame, and the 1940s, right? It's like the legacy rocket builder. And over the years, they've just got, their engines have good reputation, but also a reputation for being incredibly expensive.
Right. Okay.
And so I think ULA decided that Aerojet was basically trying to take the position that you've got to go with us, so we're just going to hike the prices for as much as we can go. And they went, no, sorry, that's not going to fly anymore. We're going to go with the cheaper vendor.
So Tori Bruno commented about the wet dress rehearsal. The first one that they tried to do wasn't able to be completed, but the second one they did recently apparently went great. The critical events they wanted to demonstrate happened nominally and on the timeline. Vulcan rocket is now in the pipe for its first launch at the next lunar window on the 8th of January, according to Tori Bruno. And of course, we have to talk about SpaceX and them already gearing up for the third test flight of Starship. So SpaceX is now in pre-launch testing for Starship's third flight. And we know this following the rollout of Ship 28 and also some snowmen down at Starbase. Starship 28 is now sitting on the suborbital test pad being prepped for testing, and Booster 10, the other half of the Flight 3 stack, received its hot stage ring and was placed on the new booster transport stand that SpaceX has been building for the past several months. So again, I have a whole hour-long discussion with Jonathan McDowell, and thank you to him for coming back on my channel. He is always such a great guest and really just seems to have knowledge about every question that I ask him on the spot. We do not prepare beforehand for these interviews, so it is very impressive. And we did talk about Starship a lot during the live stream, so I wanted to show you again this 3D printed vented Starship kit that you can order for yourself or maybe a loved one, because Christmas is, I don't know, right around the corner. If you're not into Starship, maybe you're more of an SLS fan. There's also a 3D printed SLS version. And hey, these vent and actually look, they're humidifiers. So you plug them in, but they look like they're venting. And they're really cool because you can actually print them yourself as well if you have a 3D printer. So I'm going to link these in the description, but I know that we are getting close to Christmas. So if you want to order one of these as a gift, it'll help out my channel and it'll help out Stardesk, who is the maker of these really awesome kits here. So I'm going to wrap that up with that. But thank you so much for watching my channel. Seems like you guys are enjoying the daily updates, so I will keep them going. And I really appreciate all of your support. We are so close to 80,000 subscribers. So if you want to help me get there, maybe share my channel with a friend or a family member, mention Ellie in Space, because we are very close and it would be great to round out the year with 80,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much.